Hello students, in the last video we have done with the alimentary canal as well as the associative glands with it, and today we will discuss about digestion of food. We know that the digestion of food takes place in buccal cavity, in stomach and in the duodenum region of small intestine. Fine. And now we will do the digestion of food in subparts. Like first is the digestion of food in buccal cavity. Before starting with the digestion in buccal cavity, I'll tell you about two terms, that is the chemical and mechanical processes. What is mechanical process? Like this is the food, complex food particles. Fine. With the help of teeth, this complex food particle will be broken down into smaller particles. Fine. This is simply the mechanical process. And when enzymes are involved in the breakdown of complex food into simple food, it is the chemical process. Fine. Now, if we talk about the buccal cavity, we know there are three things in the buccal cavity, that is teeth, tongue and saliva. Fine. Teeth help in mastication of the food. Mastication is, this is the complex food particle, and with the help of teeth it will broken down into these simple particles. This is mastication of the food. So the first function of buccal cavity is the mastication of the food with the help of teeth. Fine. Now next is the tongue. We know that tongue is the muscular structure or the muscular organ, and the function of tongue is it mixes the food with saliva. Fine. And if we talk about the composition of saliva, saliva contains some electrolytes, enzymes and mucus. Fine. Electrolytes are like minerals, sodium, potassium ions, carbonate ions, chloride ions. What is the function of these electrolytes or the mineral ions? They maintain the cationic anionic balance in the body. Fine. And enzymes, two enzymes are there. The one is lysozyme and second one is the salivary amylase. Fine. This lysoenzyme, it is the part of our immune system. How it is the part of immune system? Because there is a property of our body that whenever any microbe come in our body, then our body cells will start reacting against those microbes. Fine. Lysoenzyme is present in various secretions, you can say, like in saliva, in our tears also it is present. And when any bacteria or any other microbes comes in our body, this lysoenzyme will get activated and it will kill, or it will try to kill the microbe or the bacteria. Hence it is called as antibacterial, means which act against, anti means against, which act against the bacteria. Fine. The second enzyme of saliva is the salivary amylase, through which the chemical process of digestion will takes place. As I told you that the chemical process means when digestion takes place with the help of enzyme. So enzyme in buccal cavity is the salivary amylase. The digestion of carbohydrate will get initiated in the buccal cavity, but it will not get completed over here. It will complete in the duodenum of small intestine. This is starch. We know that starch is a polysaccharide, and salivary amylase, which is also known as ptyalin, will act on this polysaccharide having a pH of 6.8, and it will break down polysaccharide into a disaccharide called as maltose, and only 30% starch will get hydrolyzed into disaccharide. That means the digestion is not completed in buccal cavity. Fine. Only 30% digestion takes place. Fine. This was about salivary amylase, and this is the optimum pH. Very important. What is the optimum pH of salivary amylase? It is 6.8. The optimum pH is the pH at which enzymes work best. अगर आप इससे कम pH दोगे तो एंजाइम विल गेट इनएक्टिवेटेड, और अगर बहुत ज़्यादा होगा तो भी वो काम नहीं कर पाएगा. फाइन. सो सलाइवरी अमाइलेज एक्ट ऑन द कार्बोहाइड्रेट पॉलीसेकेराइड स्टार्च इनटू अ डाइसेकेराइड maltose. That means in buccal cavity, carbohydrate digestion will get started. If we talk about protein digestion, it will take place in stomach. In buccal cavity, only the carbohydrate digestion will be done. Fine. Then we have done with the parts of saliva, that is electrolytes and enzyme. Most important part of saliva is the mucus. Mucus help in the adhering, or you can say the lubrication, as well as adhering the food particles, like say food particles, complex food broken down into these simple food particles. Now mucus will adhere these particles like this. Mucus will adhere these particles. This is called bolus. So mucus will convert the food particles into bolus. Bolus is what? The adhere food particles, actually known as the bolus. Now it will be easy to swallow this bolus because food particles get engaged with each other, get adhered with each other, and also lubricated. Fine. Then this bolus will get transfer into the pharynx, from pharynx to the esophagus. How it passes from to pharynx or to esophagus? Simply a process we know, that swallowing. आप ऑब्जर्व भी कर सकते हो, देख भी सकते हो इसको, जैसे हम फूड स्वेलो करते हैं सिंपली. फाइन. सो थ्रू स्वेलोइंग फूड और द बोलस विल गेट पास इनटू the pharynx or the esophagus, and swallowing is also called as deglutition. Now from esophagus, this bolus will get passed into the J-shaped structure which is called as stomach. And how it passes into the stomach? Peristalsis movement takes place in the esophagus. We know that the walls of esophagus are highly muscular, and various muscular contractions will take place over here. These muscular contractions are called as peristalsis. So due to these muscular contractions, this food from the esophagus will get passed into the stomach, and we know very well that there is a gastroesophageal sphincter, a special type of muscle which guard the opening of esophagus into stomach. Fine. So we have done with these two functions, that buccal cavity perform two functions, mastication and the swallowing. Let's revise this topic. The digestion of food in buccal cavity. The mechanical process means when food is simply broken down into the small particles with the help of teeth. Chemical process is when enzymes are involved in this process. Fine. Buccal cavity perform two functions, that is mastication of the food and swallowing of the food. Fine. Buccal cavity contains three things: teeth, tongue and saliva. Teeth help in mastication of the food. Tongue helps in mixing the food with saliva. Saliva contains electrolytes, enzymes and mucus. Electrolytes maintain cationic anionic balance. Enzymes, lysoenzyme, it is antibacterial in action. Salivary amylase will act on a polysaccharide and converted it into a disaccharide. Only 30% digestion will take place. Rest will be completed or done in the duodenum region of small intestine. Salivary amylase work best at a pH of 6.8. Fine. Mucus will help in lubricating or adhering the food particles. The adhered food particle is known as bolus. Bolus will then passes into pharynx and esophagus through deglutition or swallowing. Then from esophagus to stomach by the peristaltic movement, and the entry of food from esophagus to the stomach, or you can say the opening of esophagus or the stomach, is guarded by gastroesophageal sphincter. Fine.